السلام عليكم. Welcome back to another episode of Quran Weekly, where I read the Quran in Arabic but discuss it in English. Well, I won't read it in Arabic. I'll listen to it in Arabic, but then I'll discuss it in English. My name is Ahmed, and I'm happy to take you through another journey. It's kind of dark for me. What if I do this? Yeah, a little bit more light on my face. Cool. Yeah, I'm going to try and keep this intro as short as possible because I'm very excited. I am loving this. Is one of my favorite chapters. It's so exciting. The drama, the revenge, the fantastic. Chef's kiss. Before I read the Quran, I must always explain that I am not an Arabic scholar nor a Quranic student. I haven't studied the Quran, nor have I studied the Arabic language. In fact, a lot of what I read is being read for the first time, though Surah Yusuf I'm familiar with from before. I'm merely undergoing a learning journey so I can discover about the Quran, and I'm hoping that you discover it with me or you learn something new. Who knows? Either way, I am happy to have you along with me on this journey. All right, we must always begin with Sadaqallah. Sadaqallah. I need to calm down. I'm too excited. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Did I mention it was going to be the hottest day in the Netherlands? Yesterday was not the hottest day. Today is the hottest day, which is kind of wild. Anyway, the hottest day so far. Who knows? It might be hotter tomorrow. Only God knows what tomorrow will bring. Okay, I went from I'm not going to have a long intro to having a long intro, but here we go. Where did we last kick off? Joseph, got out of prison, and the wife of the man that he was in, essentially the woman that got him into prison, admitted to everything, and she said that she admitted and she confessed so that he may know that she didn't betray him in secret, and indeed that God does not guide the plan of the betrayers. My laptop is struggling a bit. I think it might be the heat. I'm not sure. Either way, she continues and she kicks off the session, which I also kind of covered it last week, but let's take a look at it this week to see what it says.
وما أبرئ نفسي إن النفس لأمارة بالسوء إلا ما رحم ربي إن ربي غفور رحيم.
So she continues, she's saying, and I am not absolving myself. I am not innocent. Myself, I do not seek to free myself from blame. I'm not innocent. Indeed, the soul, the self, is commands to evil. Not certainly enjoys, is ever inclined to evil. It's kind of like drawn to evil. It's kind of like being compelled to evil. Except that which God bestows mercy upon it. And this, again, this ties into humanity. And it ties that we are all prone to sin. No matter how good you are, no matter how great you are, we're prone to pride, we're prone to anger, we're prone to judgment, we're prone to shame. Being human is being prone to evil, in a way. And all we can do is seek repentance and try and do better. Again, that concept of original sin, but I've touched upon it quite a lot these past few episodes. Indeed, my Lord is oft forgiving and most merciful, and that's kind of the point. The point is we may be drawn to sin, but God is merciful and God is forgiving. And it's very interesting that this is coming from the wife. The wife of the she said, I'm Joseph should know I didn't speak dishonestly about him. She continuing the story. And here, even when she says it previously, she says, "And God does not guide the plan of the betrayers, and that God is oft forgiving and most merciful." She's a believer. If we classify between believers and non-believers, she eventually became a believer, and that, for me, I think, is also kind of one of the key lessons: is that even when you mess up in the past, it doesn't mean that you can't find faith later down the line.
وقال الملك ائتوني به أستخلصه لنفسي فلما كلمه قال إنك اليوم لدينا مكين أمين.
And now comes my favorite part of the story. Just desserts. Everybody gets what they deserve, including Yusuf. And so the king said, bring him to me. Bring Yusuf. I will select him for myself. I will employ him. I will give him my service. So when the king spoke to Yusuf, he said, indeed, you today are with us, firmly established and trusted. You are fully trusted. You're a good man. Your name is cleared. You know what? I'm going to employ you. So Yusuf immediately had a proposal.
قال اجعلني على خزائن الأرض إني حفيظ عليم.
Yusuf said, appoint me over the treasuries of the land. And this was Egypt at the time, and they kind of owned a lot of land. And he said, put me as responsible for the treasury, responsible for essentially the banks of the time, the where all the resources, who controls what goes where. So essentially, he controls the coin. Indeed, I am a guardian and all-knowing. I am reliable and adept. I'm wise. I'm intelligible, and I'm good at what I do, and I will protect your affairs.
وكذلك مكنا ليوسف في الأرض يتبوأ منها حيث يشاء نصيب برحمتنا من نشاء ولا نضيع أجر المحسنين.
And thus we have established for Joseph, in the earth, to settle in it wherever he wills. We essentially gave him power, and we gave him power and wealth. We gave it to Yusuf. So all the years of suffering, all the years of being imprisoned, of being falsely accused, of being thrown in the well, finally we see Yusuf gets his just desserts. He gets his power, he gets his authority, and that we bestow upon our mercy upon who we will. And we do not let go the waste, the reward of the good doers. It's kind of a promise from God that those who do good will get their reward. It may not be obvious, and you may go through many years of being thrown in a well, sold to a family, imprisoned, accused, almost raped. But eventually you will get your goodness. Just hold on. God will not waste the reward of the good doers. So this is the good just desserts. This is someone good getting what they deserve. However,
وَلَأَجْرُ الْآخِرَةِ خَيْرٌ لِلَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَكَانُوا يَتَّقُونَ.
I sped up. Before we get to the however, there is a small caveat. The reward of the hereafter is better than for those who believe and who are God conscious. And again, this is kind of talking to you and me. A lot of times people are like, I've been a good person. Why am I not getting a reward in this life? Sometimes the afterlife reward is better than this life reward. Not everybody gets rewarded in this life. Some people only get it in the afterlife, and those who only get it in the afterlife, get a great deal, and it's better for them. So it's kind of important to not think, because I'm a good person, God should give me good things in this life. That's a very earth-centered perspective and not a wholeful perspective. So now we get to the however. The however is obviously good people get what they deserve, and the opposite of that is bad people get what they deserve. But let's continue.
وجاء إخوة يوسف فدخلوا عليه فعرفهم وهم له منكرون.
And along came the brothers of Yusuf. So they entered upon him, and he recognized them, but they did not know him. They didn't know who he really was. These are the brothers that dumped him in a well and then pretended that he was dying, and went back to his father saying that the wolf ate his body. So essentially they lied to his father, who is Jacob, by the way. And we clarify within the next chapters that it is Jacob. Within the next verses it is Jacob. I was always saying his father rather than saying Jacob, but we'll see that it's Jacob in a bit. But so his brothers come back to him, and now he has power, and they need something out of him, and he controls the treasury. So.
ولما جهزهم بجهازهم قال ائتوني بأخ لكم من أبيكم ألا ترون أني أوفي الكيل وأنا خير المنزلين.
So Yusuf is in charge of the treasury, and people come to him to like trade supplies and get money and yada yada yada. So here it says, when he prepared for them their supplies, he said, bring to me your brother of yours from your father. Now, if you recall at the beginning of the story, the brothers had plotted against Yusuf and his brother, which we believe to be Benjamin, but I think that's from the Jewish scripture. Benjamin wasn't mentioned by name in the Quran. And yeah, so his brother was not a part of them, and his brother, as we understand it, wasn't a part of their plot to throw him in the well, or maybe he was the brother that told them, instead of killing him, you should throw him in the well, rather. We don't know, but him and his brother were kind of singled out from the group of brothers. Benjamin was the good one. So Yusuf is saying, bring me your brother from your father. Do you not see that I give you in full the measure? I give you everything that you deserve, and indeed that I am the best of all hosts. Yeah, so he's saying, see, I'm an honest man. I'm going to give you exactly what you deserve, but bring me your brother. And then he says something interesting.
فإن لم تأتوني به فلا كيل لكم عندي ولا تقربون.
So he says, so if you do not bring him to me, then there will be no measure for you, and we understand this to be in the future, for me, and you will never come near me again. So he's giving them what they're paid in full. He's like, bring me your brother, and if you don't bring the brother, then we're done. I'm not going to give you anything. And obviously he's the treasurer of the king. People need to kind of engage with him and need to change with him, and they need to trade with him. So he's a very important person, and you're not someone you want to cross.
قالوا سنراود عنه أباه وإنا لفاعلون.
So they responded, they said, we will get permission for him from our father, and indeed we will certainly do our best. It doesn't say we do our best, we will do it. We will do it. We will get him after getting permission from our father.
وقال لفتيانه جعلوا بضاعتهم في رحالهم لعلهم يعرفونها إذا انقلبوا إلى أهلهم لعلهم يرجعون.
And then Joseph said to his servants, put their merchandise in their saddlebags so that they may recognize it when they go back to their parents, to their people, and so that they know that, I've paid them in full and I brought them back so that they may return. Because if they feel like, okay, we had a successful business deal and this person means us well, then we will definitely come back with the brother, and this is a good business deal and we can always make good business with them. So essentially, he showed trust to them by giving them their fair share and inviting them to come back because they trust him.
فلما رجعوا إلى أبيهم قالوا يا أبانا منع منا الكيل فأرسل معنا أخانا نكتل وإنا له لحافظون.
I feel like I might be explaining this incorrectly, but anyway, they say, so when they returned to their father, they said, "Oh, father, it has been denied for us the measure." And here it says their future measure, further supplies, which kind of makes sense. But it also, maybe it's possible that they didn't know that they had their measure with them. Yeah, like one possibility is that, the straightforward is that they were denied the measure, the future measure, which in which case, because we know that Joseph gave them their provisions. I have a feeling they don't know that they have their provisions based off of what's coming up next. I'll explain it once it comes up. But either way, they tell their father that we've been denied either future business or current business, unless you send with us our brother, so we can get that message, so we can get that measure. And indeed, we are for him guardians. So Jacob, the father, has heard this before. Essentially, this is how the story was earlier. He said that, they said, please send Joseph, with us, and we will protect him. And we know that they threw him in a well, and then they pretended that the wolf ate him. So what does the father say?
قال هل آمنكم عليه إلا كما أمنتكم على أخيه من قبل فالله خير حافظا وهو أرحم الراحمين.
Okay. I'm warming towards the second explanation, but I'll explain. So Jacob, Yusuf's father, said, should I trust you with him except as I trusted with you, his brother from before? So essentially he's saying, should I trust, let's call him Benjamin because I don't know. Let's just give him a name. Should I trust Benjamin with you the same way you trusted you with Joseph before? Joseph, the one that you said that you wouldn't lose to the wolf, yet you came back crying that he died to the wolf, which obviously was a lie. But then Jacob says something interesting. He says, فَاللَّهُ خَيْرُ حَافِظًا, which means, actually, but God is the best guardian, and He is the most merciful and whose mercy is most encompassing. So even though he's questioning the brothers and telling them, am I going to trust you the same way you trusted your previous brother? And then he thinks about it and he thinks, actually, I'm trusting God, not you, right? And that's kind of the distinction between the two. And I think it's it's beautiful. Sometimes we worry that someone's going to screw us over, but in the end of the day, God's plan always works out. So trust in God if you don't trust in people,
ولما فتحوا متاعهم وجدوا بضاعتهم ردت إليهم قالوا يا أبانا ما نبغي هذه بضاعتنا ردت إلينا ونمير أهلنا ونحفظ أخانا ونزداد كيل بعير ذلك كيل يسير.
Yeah, so this is why I don't think they were fully aware that he had given them their provisions back. I think the way that Yusuf told it to them, he told it to them like, I'm not going to give you business unless you give me the brother. And then he gave them the business anyway. He gave them their provisions, but they weren't really fully aware that he had given them the provisions. The reason why I say that is because let's dive into what's being said now. It said, and when they opened their baggage, they found their merchandise had been returned to them. So here they have a realization, and they said, our father, look what we desire. It's exactly what we desire. This is our merchandise. It has been returned to us. So they're proclaiming this. They didn't know this, and they only found out after they opened their treasure chest, their baggage, their stuff. So they're like, actually, it was all brought back to us. Oh, look at that. Which now I think, and I think the reason for this is because Yusuf wanted to disappoint them, and I'm putting air quotes because he wanted them to think that they were denied. But then he wanted to use the advantage of them getting their stuff as a kind of a delayed understanding of good faith, and for them to help maybe convince the father. So anyway, they said that this is our provisions, our merchandise that has been returned to us. And we get the provisions for our family. We will protect our brother. We will get an increase in measure and a camel's load. That is the measurement that's easy. So essentially they're saying, oh, look at how easy it is. We get our stuff. If we get our brother, we get more stuff. Everything's going to be fantastic. So it's kind of like a load was lifted, and they seemed like, oh, this seems like a fantastic idea. Everything's fine. Everything's working. And they're willing to trust. And then Jacob says,
قال لن أرسله معكم حتى تؤتون موثقا من الله لتأتونني به إلا أن يحاط بكم فلما آتوه موثقهم قال الله على ما نقول وكيل.
And this is what you should do with people that you don't trust in general. He said, I will never send him with you. I won't send him with you until you give me a promise, a covenant from God. You promise by God that you will bring him to me. Except, and then he always adds these exceptions, which drives me crazy. Except if you are surrounded, if you're overpowered, if you physically can't do it. Jacob always does this. He always gives them the excuse that they're going to use, which I find interesting. So anyway, the brothers, and when they gave him their promise, they said, by God, we promise we will take care of him, we will protect him, we will do our best. Jacob said, God is over what we say a guardian. And this is kind of like the main way that you should deal with people, deal with and negotiate with somebody that you don't trust. You say, promise by God. And if you promise by God, then I will take your word for it. Because if you break that promise, I'm not going to get you what you deserve. God's going to get you what you deserve. And I trust God. And this is kind of a sign of faith as well, right? It's how to deal in good faith with people that you don't trust.
وقال يا بني لا تدخلوا من باب واحد وادخلوا من أبواب متفرقة وما أغني عنكم من الله من شيء إن الحكم إلا لله عليه توكلت وعليه فليتوكل المتوكلون.
Yeah, at the second half of this verse explains exactly what I was talking about. But the first half says, and he said, O my sons, do not enter from one gate. Enter from gates that are separate, different gates. And this is very interesting. And you'll see why this is interesting in a little bit, because Jacob gives them a strange command. He gives them a command of like, you know, all of you come from different gates. In other words, he's telling them all to separate when they come in to the kingdom, the palace, wherever they're going. And then he says, and I cannot avail anything from you against God from anything. I can't protect you from God if God wishes to do something for you. And indeed, the decision is always only with God. Innal hukmu illa lillah. Only decisions are with God. Upon him I put my trust, and this is where we get the main theme. Upon him I put my trust, and upon him let put the trust the ones who put anyone who's putting trust in anything, let them put trust in God. And that's the main thing, and that's the main theme of these couple of sessions, is that, and the whole chapter is things can get scary, things can get intense, things can be rough. You might be dealing with people with ill intent. Put your trust in God is the main theme that I seem to be seeing time and time again.
ولما دخلوا من حيث أمرهم أبوهم ما كان يغني عنهم من الله من شيء إلا حاجة في نفس يعقوب قضاها وإنه لذو علم لما علمناه ولكن أكثر الناس لا يعلمون.
I mean, this is why they say God works in mysterious ways. But anyway, and when they entered from where their father ordered them, it was not for if it was not for them to avail. It was not. This did not help them against the will of God in anything. ما كان يغني عنهم من الله من شيء. There was nothing to help them avail from them against God in anything. This did not help them avail against the. This did not help them survive the will of God, and it was because of something within Jacob's soul that was carried out. And this is again where Yaqub was mentioned. Jacob was mentioned. So we know for sure that the father's name is Jacob. I knew that Yusuf was of his progeny, but I didn't know if he was his direct son or if he was a descendant. We now see it was because that's what their father who was Jacob, had said, come in from the different doors. And they could essentially, these verses saying that they couldn't be protected from God's desire, and God's desire came from the soul of Jacob, which he carried out. And then it continues to say, and indeed he is the possessor of knowledge because we had taught him, but most people do not know. Now, what is this verse trying to tell us? It's trying to tell us that Jacob had an instinct to tell them to come in from different gates. I don't know if it explains that Jacob knew why, but he just had this thought, and he was like, I need you to come in from different gates. And that thought came from God. And essentially, this is how God works in mysterious ways. Sometimes you have an instinct, a feeling, a response, an idea. You're like, I have to do something a certain way. I have to go a certain perspective. And that's how God works. Like, it might not make sense at first, but it makes sense down the line. And I think it's important. But most people do not know.
ولما دخلوا على يوسف آوى إليه أخاه قال إني أنا أخوك فلا تبتئس بما كانوا يعملون.
And they don't exactly explain it, the connection, but I think this is the reason why they all came in separately is because they needed to be separated so that this next event could happen. It says, and when they entered upon Joseph, he took his brother to himself. He took his brother, the one that he called over, Benjamin, and he's like, okay, listen. And he said, indeed, I am your brother, so do not grieve for what do not grieve for what they used to do. It says, do not feel distressed about what they have been doing. But I feel like he's saying, don't stress about what's about to happen. So Joseph went to his brother that he wants to save and to retrieve from them. And he told him, hey, listen, I'm your brother. Trust me. Don't worry. It says, don't worry about what they used to do, which could indicate that he was saying, I know that you're innocent of what they used to do. But it also could indicate, beware of what's about to happen because shenanigans are about to go down.
فلما جهزهم بجهازهم جعل السقاية في رحل أخيه ثم أذن مؤذن أيتها العير إنكم لسارقون.
And here we see the shenanigans begin. So when he was furnishing them with their supplies, he put a drinking cup in the bag of his brother, the brother that he wants to separate from the group, the brother that he just pulled aside and told him, by the way, I'm Joseph, your brother. I don't blame you for what they did. I'm on your side. Essentially getting his trust. He put a cup in this brother's bag, and then he called out an announcer, and he's saying, oh, you caravan. And the announcer said, oh, you caravan, indeed you are surely thieves. You've stolen something. So, the interesting thing here is it says, so when Joseph furnished their supplies, he put the drinking cup in the bag of his brother. And then he accused them of stealing, which is, I don't want to say malicious. It's not malicious. It's just, it's not righteous. It's like doing something wrong. It's like calling them thieves when you know that they're not thieves, when you're the one who put it there. It's like deceitful in a way, which I find it interesting. And it reminds me of a story about Abraham, and that when Abraham went to his people and he told them, stop worshiping those idols, those statues, they're not helping you in any way. They're like, you need to listen to your place. So what he did is he went and he destroyed all the statues except for one, and put the scythe on that statue. And they came to Abraham saying, what did you do? Why did you destroy the statues? And then Abraham lied and said, oh, it was the big statue that did it. It wasn't me. So the reason why I bring Abraham's lie and then now Joseph's, in a way, lie, because he's saying that you guys are hey, Nacho, welcome. In a way, Joseph is telling an untruth because he put the cup in the brother's bag, and then he said that they're thieves. Which is, is it untrue? A cup was put into a bag without the king's knowledge and without it being legal. So in a way, a cup was stolen, so to speak. Sophia Mac, Assalam Alaikum, welcome. Hi. So in a way, a cup was stolen, and someone did steal a cup, but it just happened to be Joseph. Whereas in Abraham's case, he was clearly saying something that was untrue. He was saying that the big statue destroyed them when he was the one that destroyed the statue. But he was also making a point. And there's a point to why Joseph put the cup in his brother's bag and then said that they're thieves. Because this is all a part of the plot. And this is also a part of the plot that Jacob was giving. Jacob said separate into groups. And if they hadn't separated in their entrances, they would have been... he wouldn't have been able to do this. But anyway, cups in the brother's bag, and they said that they're thieves. So what happens?
قالوا وأقبلوا عليهم ماذا تفقدون.
So they said, and I assume this is the brothers, and they turned towards them. What is it that you're missing? What is it what's been stolen? So they say,
قالوا نفقد صواع الملك ولمن جاء به حمل بعير وأنا به زعيم.
And here it says the herald, but it doesn't specify who's saying it. But they're saying in response to what's been stolen, we're missing a cup, the king's cup, and whoever brings it in a load, whoever brings the cup gets a load of a camel, awarded a camel load of grain, and I am for it responsible. So they're saying this is a very important cup. I'm going to give you a lot of worth for this cup. Let me also just make sure that let me just make sure that my people are not confused. Yeah. So they're saying, this is an important cup. It's missing. Whoever brings it is going to get a good reward.
قالوا تالله لقد علمتم ما جئنا لنفسد في الأرض وما كنا سارقين.
So the brother said, by God, you certainly know that we have not come to cause corruption in the earth, and we are not thieves. So the brothers are saying, we're not thieves.
قالوا فما جزاؤه إن كنتم كاذبين.
Yeah, it's been a while. I'm glad you guys are back at the channel. Nice to see you again. And so here's where it's kind of treacherous, but the guards and Joseph and the people with Joseph say, okay, so what is the recompense if you are lying? Okay, I'm going to have to block someone. So essentially the guards are saying, what is the recompense if you are lying? Block. Sorry, there's someone trying to be mean on my channel, so they're blocked now. Cool. Yeah, so the guards are saying, so if you are thieves or if you have stolen, what are we supposed to do? Kind of setting up the trap, essentially making them choose their own punishment, which is funny. And they said,
قالوا جزاؤه من وجد في رحله فهو جزاؤه كذلك نجزي الظالمين.
So the brothers come with a very reasonable response. They said, the recompense for the one who's found in his bag, then he is the one that will be given to you, and he is now yours. And this was kind of the way that they did it. He'll become your slave. He'll become your prisoner. You know, he's yours. That is how we recompense the wrongdoers. And you can imagine them saying this with like chin up, saying, you know what, the one who stole it, he's the one you could take. And they're, because they feel like they haven't stolen anything. They don't understand what's happening. They don't understand that this is all trying to screw them over. And then what happens?
فبدأ بأوعيتهم قبل وعاء أخيه ثم استخرجها من وعاء أخيه كذلك كدنا ليوسف ما كان ليأخذ أخاه في دين الملك إلا أن يشاء الله نرفع درجات من نشاء وفوق كل ذي علم عليم.
And here we see the whole point of this little drama, this interaction, this back and forth. So he began searching their bags before the bag of his brother, and then he brought it out from the bag of his brother. So essentially he searched their bags and then searched his bag, the brother's bag at the end, and at the end when they pulled his brother's bag, they found the cup that was missing, the cup that was stolen. And thus we planned for Yusuf. This is God's plan. This is kind of everything that kind of came to plan. Obviously, Joseph was a part of it. Yusuf was a part of it because he put the cup in his brother's bag, and this was all part of the plan. Jacob was a part of the plan. Joseph was a part of the plan. We'll call him Benjamin for now because we don't really know. So essentially, this whole thing was designed to get the brother away from his brothers so that they can go and disappoint his father one more time, and his father knows that they are bad people. And he trusted. And then it goes to say, Joseph could not have taken his brother by the law of the king, except if that God had willed it. So God had willed it to happen, and he created a way and a circumstance for him to take him in accordance with the king's law. And then it says, we raise in degrees whom we will, but over every possessor of knowledge وفوق كل ذي علم عليم. And above everything is the possessor of all the knowledge that is all-knowing. And again, this is a testament to God's ultimate plan and its grandness and how it all comes together in God's perspective. And that's the last verse for today. So it brings me a philosophical conundrum to talk about it, because it felt like things were happening that were sneaky, which is kind of interesting, right? Like falsely stealing a cup so that you can achieve what you want to achieve feels dishonest in a way, which I don't know how it struggles with me. But in the end of the day, he didn't say anything dishonest. He said that a cup was taken illegally, essentially. A cup was stolen, and a cup was stolen. But it was by Joseph, not by the people. And it was stolen by medium of his brother, who in the end, they get the brother. And that's what they want. They get the person whose cup had taken it. So like, it feels deceitful, though it is accurate. I don't know. Tell me how you guys feel about this. It's an interesting conundrum. Because, you always think that God should be lawful, so to speak. And he is lawful. Everything that happened here was within the confines of the law. Even the breaking of the law and the capturing of those who broke the law. Like, yeah, it's a bit strange. It's a bit interesting. It's just not how I would imagine God works, but God works in mysterious ways. And the main moral and the main lesson is that God's plan always comes through a variety of methods, and you never really know how it comes through. But yeah, that's the end of this episode. Thank you guys for watching. This chapter is so spicy, it's so dramatic, it's so cool, it's so exciting, it's very interesting, and I appreciate it. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you guys probably tomorrow. Yeah, we have, I think, 2 more sections left to go, so I got to do Thursday, Friday, take Saturday off, and then Sunday I'll do the review episode. Cool, fantastic. See you guys tomorrow on YouTube. Thanks for watching. As usual, I always end with Sadaq Allah al-Ali al-Azim, and then I say thank you for watching. I love you. I appreciate you. مع السلامة YouTube. Bye.